Me, that's fast.
Yeah, that one really hurts his wrists and forearms live, so we have to put it in the set list in a sensible place. Hello, I'm Murph from the Wombats, and that's Dan from the Wombats.
And this is our song CV.
First song is Let's Dance to Joy Division. Christ almighty, what an absolute bop that is.
That's going back in time.
Bit of an indie party pop disco anthem. Yeah, it was about a night I had in Liverpool, and me and my soon-to-be girlfriend were on a table in a bar called Corova, dancing to Love Will Tear Us Apart, and I was very happy and very much enjoying the moment, and I kind of noticed the distortion between what I was feeling and the sentiment of the words we were dancing to, and drove her to York the next day and wrote the majority of it in York.
We used to practice in my dad's lounge, and I remember we were putting it together there and having lots of cups of tea around the kitchen table. That's the memory that popped into my head. The next song on our song CV is Kill the Director. Me, that's fast.
Yeah, that one really hurts his wrists and forearms live, so we have to put it in the set list in a sensible place.
Yeah, with a slow song after it.
Yeah, slow song after it, then 5 minutes for the oxygen tanks.
Yeah. Holiday.
Yeah, I went to see a film called The Holiday with my manager and his family at Christmas in the Lake District, and didn't think much of it. I remember it was a million different songs before it was Kill the Director. It was kind of a strange one that had different verses and different melodies all over the place, but I really kept coming back to the like guitar part or whatever. And yeah, finally it was Kill the Director.
And I remember, yeah, when you first played it, there were multiple things, and I remember the Carrots Help Us See Much Better in the Dark line just being like, well, that needs to get earlier. No, yeah, bin that. No, we sort of arranged it in London, in Bermondsey area. What was that studio called?
Terminal.
Yeah, I think it is. And then we had a gig that same night in London at like 93 Feet East, I think it was, on Brick Lane. And we were so excited about the song that we were just like, well, it's not really finished, but let's just play it tonight. And we did, and I don't actually think it changed much from that moment on. It was kind of happened fairly quickly in the day.
The next song on our song CV is Greek Tragedy.
I remember Murph coming in and listening to a bunch of stuff that we'd been working on, and he was like, okay, yeah, that's all right. And then at the end of them, it was like, all right, send me that one. We said, well, there is one more idea we had, but we're not sure that it's really Wombats kind of material or whatever. And then heard it, and he went, yeah, send me that one. And then we sort of started working on it, and it coincided with a fairly tumultuous part of your life.
Yeah, we finished it in LA when we were recording This Is Not a Party. Yeah, it was a very strange time in my life where I was between two very different worlds, and I was faced with a fairly important decision that needed making, and Greek Tragedy was just in my notes. I like to write kind of titles down that I think are cool, and I think it's maybe from Wolf of Wall Street, where she was, oh, it's such a Greek tragedy or something. My life was a bit of a Greek tragedy at the time, so it was kind of quite easy to finish it off.
After we'd sort of got the majority of the music together, me and Todd went into the studio while Murph was like up in the Hollywood Hills in this house that the label were renting for us, and spent 2 days kind of working on the lyrics and melodies and all that, and then came in and sang over the top of it, and we were sat in the studio listening to it, and it was a proper kind of whoa moment that you get from time to time, that feels like something's been captured that we hadn't captured before, and yeah, just glad that it's had the journey it's had. Yeah. Another oldie goldie on our song CV.
Pretty strange story behind it. I took someone on a date to a squirrel sanctuary, and
as you do.
And I thought it went all right.
Does she like squirrels, this person?
No, but it was like my go-to move at the time. It was like, I'll get in with the squirrel sanctuary.
Right.
So we went to the squirrel sanctuary and saw some cute little red squirrels. And
if anyone out there is looking for like dating tips,
yeah,
see this fella.
Went to the squirrel sanctuary. So yeah, we were feeding them. They come right up to your hands and they hang out with you.
They nibble food out your hand?
They'll eat out your hands. Up in Formby. and it's right next to a beach, then you can go for a lovely romantic walk along the beach. And I thought it went well. I mean, it wasn't exactly fireworks, I don't blame her, but you know, I thought it went well. And so we stayed in contact for a little bit, and I texted her and I was like, I mean, we were in uni and this is when we're pretty much going out like 6 nights a week. And so I texted her and said, oh, I'm heading out tonight, what are your thoughts? And she was like, no, I'm staying in tonight. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go and have a few looseners anyway. So I went out, a couple of Jurgen Klinsmans, and then we went out, and then I walked into a bar called Hannah's Bar, and
which is incidentally where we did our first ever Wombats gig.
Yeah, and she was there, like absolutely faced, like fully going for it with like another girl on the dance floor, and I was like, wow, okay, that's bold. And yeah, I was pretty gutted about that, so I started feeling very sorry for myself, and out came moving to New York on a kind of slow, moody keyboard, and then it all changed. Yeah.
I remember first hearing it in a practice room in Liverpool, which was the music college that we were at. He was playing it on a piano, quite slow, and I was like, oh, that's beautiful, what's that? And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh, we should definitely do something with that. And came in the practice room, and then it completely changed to how it sounds now. Suddenly went in a completely different direction, but I knew there was a little kernel in there that was very smart.
Talk about the video for this.
We did a music video for it when we were in LA, and we shot the first day and then went out for a meal and stuff, and we were already jet lagged. And I ended up somehow taking a load of Adderall, which is the worst idea ever. I didn't even know what it was really, but someone convinced me I might have had ADHD and so I should take it. And I was like, oh, well, I feel tired, so see what happens. And the next thing you know, it's like 7 in the morning and we're supposed to be doing a video shoot in like 2 hours, and I was just pacing around in the hotel room like, I think I'm gonna have a heart attack. And it was like, it's a prescription drug, you know, it was literally like in a bottle from the pharmacist. And then we had to pretend to be hungover all day in the music video, and yeah, there wasn't any pretending from me.
One of my memories from it's like we were with Warner at the time, and they were, you know, banging on about singles and stuff. So I remember when that happened, it was like, right, there you go, see you later.
Get off our back.
Yeah, yeah, I do love it as well.
Lemon to a knife fight.
Yeah, lemon to a knife fight. Watching a bit of David Lynch, and we were having an argument driving along Mulholland, and it was
not us,
no. But it all just looked like a David Lynch film, and that was kind of where the idea for the song came from. And we kind of took it down a kind of Becky route on the album.
In the sort of build-up section before the last chorus, you can actually, if you listen closely, you'll be able to hear our tour manager Simon Fuller playing trombone. Yeah. In there. Did a wonderful job, really added to the cinematic kind of Lynchian aspect of it.
Jump into the fog, and I remember being at a sound check somewhere.
I feel like it was Oxford.
Oxford,
maybe.
And Dan like played it on his little micro Korg, and me and Todd were like, what's that?
Yeah, we started jamming around with it then, and it was one of those similar to as we talked about before. You end up with like a lyric on your phone in your notes section, or a little section of music on your voice memos on your phone that you've sang into it or played on an instrument. And I feel like that was a little starting point that we kind of had in the back of our mind for a while. I can't remember when we actually ended up getting a chance to do it, because when you're on tour often you kind of, you know, you might have these little jams that come out of sound checks or whatever, and you're like, oh yeah, someone record that on the phone and then send it to each other, or keep it yourself. And then I love the fact that the people singing along often may not know
the story behind
what's going on, but
that's not good.
No, we don't.
Done enough weird stories, I think. If You Ever Leave, I'm Coming With You is the next song. This is on our new album, and we had worked, the three of us, together in 2019 on lots of new songs, but then the world went to hell in a handbasket at the start of 2020, and this was the second song that I did during lockdown. And yeah, I guess it's just really about desperately not wanting something to mess up. I feel like this was probably the trickiest one on the album to kind of get right and for everyone to be relatively happy with.
Basically, because everything was getting sent around from LA to London and Oslo a bit as well, there was a lot of like piecing things together from lots of files all stored in various folders and stuff. So our producer, for some of the songs, it did just slot together really easily and came together quickly, but there were a couple of trouble tracks, and this was one that...
Yeah, he sent us a load of like rough mixes, sent us like 4 rough mixes that just were horrendous. And he
a little bit underwhelming.
A little bit underwhelming.
Oh, this can be so much better, like what's wrong with it?
But it turns out he was so knackered. I mean, he was between a house move, you know, he was working with Dan and Todd every day.
In lockdown.
In lockdown, till late sometimes, and he was sleeping on the couch in the studio, so he was just driving himself nuts. And he basically sent over these, he sent over this specific song with like the synth bass muted, and I was like, wait, what's happening? This is, he had like muted about 4 or 5 very key tracks to the song, and we suggested he takes a week off or something to sort himself out.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know. We did like 15 songs with him, so I don't know how he even managed to keep it together, like for the other, all the other tracks, but somehow he did, and then it's a lot of concentrating for that long period of time.
Yeah.
With the stress of a lockdown as well. Strange times.
Yeah.
Well done, Mark.
This car drives all by itself, and it's a real fun number, isn't it?
It is really fun.
It was produced, one of the songs not produced by Mark, produced by Jackknife Lee, who's a legend. I had this phrase kind of bouncing round my head that was, we row but the universe steers, and I really loved it and found myself kind of fixating on it a bit, and I thought it could be a great song, but the title isn't right. I need to find a different way of phrasing it, a different way of saying the same thing. And I was walking my dogs, and this Prius turned up behind me, and I looked around and I couldn't see anyone in it, and that was where, but there was someone in it. I don't know how, I don't know. And that's where This Car Drives All By Itself, the title came from. And then when I had the title, I was like pretty ready to go, geared up, amped up, ready to send it off down the line.
Oh, that was
Star Guitar by Chemical Brothers was certainly an influence. The kind of driving guitar sound that kind of doesn't really stop.
Radio X.